just a few words to our trip today. We have to thank Mr. Reed. He organized most of it. He got the approval from our garrison leadership for this day, and he organized the city tour and also the lunch at the beer garden we are going to. So I hope we all have a nice day and enjoy a day off from our workplace. And if there's anything going wrong, if anybody gets lost, please exchange your cell phone number so that we can find you, and I hope it doesn't happen. Always try to be on time at the bus. After the city tour, we will have about 30 minutes to get back to the bus, and then at 12:30 we will leave for lunch, and then I think the lunch will take about 2 hours, and then we have to go back to be in Graf at about 16:30. If there's anything, just let the driver know if you have to go to a bathroom or if you want to take a break or whatever, just talk to Charlie. Okay, thank you, and I hope we all have a nice day together.
It's your turn, Johnny. It's your turn, Johnny. It's your turn.
And again, of course, welcome to Bamberg. Great to have you here from Graf to Bamberg. Bamberg had a big installation as well, as you all probably know. We closed in 2014. Big disaster, still is a disaster. Won't change the next year's either, so that's all right. But Bamberg, you're here to see Bamberg, the old town, the World Cultural Heritage. A little brief history, real brief history. The first documentary evidence that we do have from Bamberg stems from the year 902. In 902, there was a quarrel ongoing with the Earls of Babenberg. They gave Bamberg the name, the Earls of Babenberg. Bamberg comes from Babenberg. They had a quarrel with the Conrads. Let's make that thing fast and quick. The last family head of the Babenberger literally lost his head in that quarrel, and Bamberg became property of the king. 100 years later, 1007, the Emperor Henry II founded a diocese here in Bamberg, the bishop seat. And with that, Bamberg became an independent state. Not just a city or a town, an independent state with many, many things along with it. Grafenwöhr, in fact, was reporting to Bamberg that time. That belonged to Bamberg. That remained that way up until 1803. There was the Napoleon Wars in 1803, and Napoleon changed everything in Europe, as you probably know. New borders came up, new countries were born, and all the religious states in the southern part of Germany were all done away with. They were all turned over to the dukes and later kings of Bavaria. End of monarchy, 1918. Second World War ended 1945, and then 1949, Federal Republic of Germany. Bamberg became part of the Free State of Bavaria, and that's where we still are today. So far for the history. You will see much more historical stuff as we're on the way, and we're going to get on our way. Let's move down this way. Here is a 4-star hotel. If in case you decide to stay overnight, I know the manager, we can negotiate the price. No interest, no. It really is a 4-star hotel. Everything else is bull, but it is a 4-star hotel. But why am I pointing that out to you? When it first opened up in 1787, in the 18th century, 1787, it was not a hospital. It was the first general hospital of Bamberg. And when it opened up as a general hospital, this place was the first hospital that was actually built to heal people. All other so-called hospitals we had at the time, through all of Europe at that time, were places where you went to die in dignity. That was it. Or you were isolated. If you had the plague, you were isolated somewhere outside of the town. But this place was the first place that was actually built and designed to heal people. It was a part, a small component of an overall concept of that former prince bishop, the bishop who ruled Bamberg, the state of Bamberg. He was fighting the poor. He was really fighting the poverty as such. And he said, if everyone is healthy, then they can work and they don't have to stay poor. That was his concept. So he brought up many, many things along with it. And one part of it was a hospital to heal people so they could work. That was the main thing. And for the very first time, the architects, engineers had to listen to the doctors how to design a place like that. The rooms, the patient rooms in there were designed for the size maximum of 4 patient beds, 4 maximum. Each patient bed had his own restroom. They had channels where the smell went up in the air, so they had an aerating system in there. Outside of the patient room, there were faucets and open running water. They're still there today. Today, that hotel keeps his champagne in the faucet in the sinks to cool for the breakfast. At that time, the sinks were used to wash their hands, and every nurse and every doctor was mandated to wash their hands prior to entering the room. That was revolutionary for the time being, 1787. Hygiene and solid food was the key. Solid food, each patient that went in there got 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3 meals a day, and hygiene. And that was the thing. At the beginning, they had a death rate when they first started initially of 44.5%. After 2 years, the death rate dropped down to 4%. That was amazing at that time, absolutely amazing. It used to be our hospital here in Bamberg up until 1983. In 1983, this was a disaster. There was no modern medical whatsoever in there. It was just old, period. So they built a new one up on one of the hills of Bamberg and so on. They converted this one into a hotel. It really is today a 4-star hotel. But you still can see the old hallways when you walk through the faucets and all that stuff too. It reminds you, and if you don't know what that there was a hospital, you kind of worry and think about what the heck is going on, a faucet here or something. But it reminds you of what is being there. This used to be the medical part. This used to be the surgery part of it. And right up there, walk down this way. You see the bathtub up there? And a small little angel. The first thing that happened to all the patients when they came into that place, they were really scrubbed down. They were really clean, washed, scrubbed down. They not only took showers, they were scrubbed down. Because taking showers or washing yourself in the 18th century wasn't really a common thing. So that's why we have that bathtub up there to remind everyone hygiene is the number one. And some of the old people here in Bamberg still say, older than me even, they still say you better watch out when you go in there. You go in there pitch black and you come out white. They'll scrub down the dirt of you. It has nothing to do with race, it's just the dirt thing. We walk down that way, come on. In Little Venice, Little Venice. A romantic name, but it was built on the river for a very, very practical purpose. It used to be the home of our fishermen. And in the old days, the water went directly underneath these houses. They're all standing on poles, actually. And underneath their houses, the water went in there. They had fish cages, and when they came back home with the daily catches, they brought the fishes alive in the fish cages so they could sell them freshly on the market. That was the whole thing about it. And that's why they had the houses here on the river. About 100 years ago, it was that many of them, many to most actually, were not fishermen anymore. They had quote-unquote regular jobs, so they just filled it up with some topsoil on it, so they had a little backyard. The front of their houses is on the other side, has cobblestones, no chance to have a garden or anything like that. That's why they filled it up so they have a little bit of a garden. Nowadays, the romantic view all the way along, and that's all there is to it, a really practical thing. Almost all houses have been fishermen's houses in the past, almost. One exception as an example is the house over there with the green shutters that has a hallway going through that entire house down to the river, if you notice. That hallway was the main street. That house was the owner, was the ferryman. And it was ideal for him that the main street went directly through his house. That bridge is a young bridge. That bridge is only about 135 years old, absolutely young. The main street went down through here and went up this way. For him, an ideal situation, because what he did, he stuck his head out of the window. You pay me first before I do any services. Payment up front. When he stood over here and he yelled over there, hey, ferryman coming over, the answer was, is the price fixed? If you said fix, then he came. If not, don't bother. That was the thing. He always spent money up front. That was the ferrymen. Almost all of them, up until further down there, we get there in a minute, almost all of them had been fishermen's houses. Now, ladies, if you want to become Germany's next top model, make sure you have the style, your hairs and everything is up there. Right up there are cameras, further down there are also cameras. That big, huge yellow house here has nice curtains, as you can tell. That is our local prison. And the cameras are on there for security reasons. That was another component of that bishop who actually designed and developed that hospital up there. That was not a prison at his time in 1787. At his time, it was the home of homeless people. And what he did, when beggars, whole families of beggars were found in Bamberg, they were arrested. The beggars were arrested. The adults were sent to a foreign country, which in that time was Würzburg. They were sent down to Würzburg. The juveniles, the youngsters, if they wanted to, if their children wanted to stay here in Bamberg, they were allowed to stay in there. And then the craftsmen of the guilds went in there and picked out their new-coming laborers, if you will, gave them an apprenticeship, so they became tailors and whatsoever. They got a job. They got a profession to learn, so they didn't have to be beggars when they grew old. They had a job to work with. That was the philosophy behind this thing here. When the kings of Bavaria took over, they turned down that philosophy. They didn't care about poor people. They cared about money. And what they made, they converted the whole thing to a prison, which still is today. Today, there are about 250 inmates in there. I've been told about 200 men and 50 ladies sitting in there waiting for them to be finally released. The ratio, by the way, of 200 to 50 does not imply that the ladies commit less crime. It simply says that the ladies are smarter. They don't get caught that often. That's all there is to it. Our Cathedral Square, that used to be the government's hill for the state of Bamberg. Remember I told you Bamberg was an independent state? That used to be the state government. The cathedral to the left was the cathedral's chapter. The chapter was composed of 34 aristocrats, 34 men, and they had the power to decide of anything and everything that happened in the religious matters. They were right left to the cathedral.
Depending on what you like.
Ladies and gentlemen, standing at the Cathedral Square, when you do look around 360 degrees, one turn around completely, you have seen the 5 major construction styles of Germany. The cathedral, down to the east, to the left, is Romanesque. To the right, it's Gothic already. They changed the style while they were building and constructing it. Right, it's Gothic. The building over here, the old courtyard with the nice window, that is Renaissance. It used to be, as I said, the government seat. The building where the bishop used to be at home is Baroque. And the wall where we just looked for the shade down there, holding the whole hill up here, is classical. So we have Romanesque, Gothic, Renaissance, Baroque, classical, all in one spot. You turn around 360 degrees, you don't have to go back to school, you've done it all. That's all there is to it. The cathedral, what you see here today, stems from the year 1237. Now I told you Emperor Henry founded the diocese here in 1007. Of course, he had a cathedral too, but his burned down in 1185. In 1185 it burned down, so we have this new facility now from 1237. Inside the cathedral, it's a regular church today. Inside we have the only grave of a pope northern of the Alps. Right in here, Pope Clemens II is buried in here. The reason why he's buried here is he was a bishop here in Bamberg. That's back in 1046, almost 1,000 years ago. Bishop of Bamberg, and when he was elected to become the Pope, he wasn't happy about that at all. He wanted to stay here. He loved his Bamberg. So he put down in the testimony, if I die, I want to be buried in Bamberg. That's why we have him here. And when he finally had to depart and leave Bamberg, he wrote a letter, a farewell letter to his city, to his town. It starts about like this: my sweetest one, my dearest love, I never wanted to depart, I never wanted to leave you. It's a letter to the city, to a woman, but it's a love letter. Gentlemen, if you do need a love letter, it's available in the internet. It is great. It still works today. Here we are in the Rose Garden. This was not always a pure roses garden like it is today. In the times of the bishops, when the prince bishops were here, it was a garden, all right, but not pure roses. Pure roses were not in fashion at the time being. What they had were spices, strong-smelling, good-smelling spices, lemon trees and stuff, as long as it smelled well. And that also was a reason driven by hygiene factors. Baroque, from 1650 till about 1780, was the time where the folks had castles like this, chateaus like this. The man wore these big wigs, the man wore women dresses, if you will, but all of them never took showers. They were afraid of water. They thought water would carry illnesses and diseases into the skin when they used water to wash themselves, so they never washed themselves. Stay away from water because you get sick of it. That's what the thought was. They powdered themselves all day long. They had flea traps in their clothes hidden and so on and so forth. Anything to smell a little better. And in order for them, not only Bamberg and other places, just the same way for them in their city places, or their city palaces like this one here, you have one place where they smell something else and something better than themselves. That's why they had gardens like this. That was in other cities just the same way. Wherever there was a Baroque chateau, they had gardens like this, so it smelled good. Here in Bamberg, it worked out perfectly because we're up on a hill. So what did they do? They had here the chateau. They even put a wall in there, so it's kind of boarded off. And on this side, they left it open with a balcony. Looking this side is the east. Usually, if there is a wind coming in, it's coming in from the east, and the breeze goes all over the blooming flowers. Down there is the old tea house of the bishops. It still works out today. If you sit outside the tea house, or you have both wings of the doors open, the breeze comes all over these blooming flowers and kind of puts the pressure onto the smell right into the tea house. So it's like an air conditioner, if you will, from the 17th century. Still works like that today. Now you can feel the breeze coming in. They had the wall to block it off, so the wind was kind of directed in which direction to go to, straight down to the tea house. That's how it worked out. Still works that way today. Although we don't need it no more, we do take showers meanwhile here in Bamberg. Yes. All of what you see back here, all of that was needed to support the aristocrats, the bishops, the governor, and so on and so forth. All of that was needed to support them. So it was a mixture of DPW and DOL, if you will. Behind the round-shaped windows there was the kitchen. Right next to it, to the right side, there was the dining hall for the knights. And then from the left corner all the way to the right corner up there, those were stables for horses. Into the right corner back there were edible animals like pigs and chickens and so on and so forth. And then the two-wing door goes down to the basement to store, of course, all the food items and so on. Here we have the small little fountain hut, not drinking water today, but used to be drinking water. Here is the old blacksmith. And the old blacksmith leans on the oldest part of the whole complex here. That's the old St. Catherine's Chapel. That goes back to the 10th century. All the other facility complexes here were changed, rearranged, and so on throughout the centuries, but actually started in the 9th century here because that's where the Bamberger already had their horses stables and so on and so forth, all history. What's important for us Bamberger folks also are the colors of the flowers up there on the balconies. You do know, I'm pretty sure you do know the state colors of Bavaria. You know? No? White and blue. White and blue. Very, very important. Very important. Written down by law. White. This is crappity bull knowledge, but just for your own information, the flag of Bavaria with all these routes on there, on the left corner starts with a white spot. That's why it's white and blue, white and blue, white and blue. So if you've ever been in any of these shows where you can call someone, hey, white and blue. But you don't have to know that here in Bamberg. The state colors of Franconia of Bamberg is white and red. That's important. Okay. Here you have the Prince's Portrait. When you look inside, you see all these statues and sculptures. They tell a story. This is like TV or movie from the 13th century. That's TV, if you will, if you know the story and if you know how to listen to them. What you see, there are men standing there on the bottom, and on their shoulders is another set of men. The men on the bottom are the prophets of the Old Testament, the Jewish faith. The Jewish faith, the Jewish religion, it's the foundation of the Christian religion. That's why the men on the top, on their shoulders standing up there, are the apostle of the New Testimony, the Christian religion. The New and the Old Testimony tied together in the final judgment day, and that's what you see up there in the round. God sitting in the middle. Further out to the left there, you see the angel blowing the trumpet. Both wings widely spread, so all the power goes into the trumpet, and all the graves go up, and the dead appear in front of the cradle to go out and be judged by God. To the left, there's Abraham with the innocent children in his lap, and then in the middle, there's God sitting, judging. To his right, so when you look up there to the left, to his right, to the left, when you look up there, are the good ones. And there's an angel, and he carries all the good ones up to paradise. But to his left, when you look up there to the right, you see the devil with a big, huge chain, carrying all the sinners, all the bad ones down to hell. Now take a closer look to the bad ones going down hell. They're laughing, they're going down hell, have a hell of a good time. They're laughing, and look at their hats. Who's going down to hell? A bishop, there's even a pope among them. What's portrayed up there is nothing but noblemen. Nothing but noblemen, aristocrats, noblemen. There's a pope there, the king and so on and so forth. Nothing but noblemen. What's symbolized with it is, first of all, they're laughing, and you look at them, they all have their mouths widely open. Laughing with wide open mouths in the 13th century reflected that you had no manner. You were supposed to smile. If you had your mouth widely open, you had no manner. And all the aristocrats, all the noblemen, they symbolize the fact during your lifetime, you may be a king, you may be a duke, you may be the pope. It's immaterial. Once you're dead and God is judging your soul, we're all equal. And then if you're a sinner, the devil's going to come get you anyway. That's what symbolized up there. And that religious thought goes a little further to the lady up on the right side there, up on the pillar there. You see a lady standing up there, real sporty, almost sexy. She's standing up, a great lady. She's blindfolded. Her name is the synagogue. She symbolizes the Jewish religion. She's blindfolded because the Jews did not see the birth of Jesus Christ being the arrival of the Messiah. They didn't see it, blindfolded. In her left hand are the Ten Commandments that slide out of her hand. In the right hand is a stick of judges, broken. She can't hold on to the commands. The stick of judges is broken, indicating the fact that the old rules of the Old Testimony now has been modified by the lady on the other side. And take a look at her. She is a queen. She has a crown. She also had two hands, but the sour puree from Mercedes and Volkswagen cost to burn that off. But anyway, she is a queen, and she stands on the pillar with the symbols of the four evangelists. Her name is Ecclesia, the church in English. And the church stands on the pillar of the evangelists. Evangelists is the bottom line, the foundation of the church. Over here on the pillar you found a man leaning down, reaching into the face of another man. What's portrayed here is the devil. Again, the devil. He leans down and reaches into the face of a Jew. He can tell that face from his head. Reaches into his face and tears out his right eye. Sounds awful, doesn't it? But it's the explanation why the lady is blindfolded up there. In the 13th century, the people believed that God's truth can only be seen by your right eye. Only your right eye sees God's truth. Now, if anyone would have had questioned the priest in there, hey priest, your almighty, so-called almighty Christian God, if he is so almighty as you say, why did he not take all the population worldwide into the Christian community, embrace them once, and we're all Christians? Why didn't he do so? Well, he's done, the priest would say, what he was supposed to be doing. God even sent his son down to earth, but then the devil came around. Just when Jesus Christ was born, the devil came around, and the devil stole Jews' right eye. The Jews could not see that the birth of Jesus Christ was the arrival of the Messiah because the devil had tricked them all, the devil had stolen their right eye. And if you don't believe that, here is the evidence built in stone. If you look up there, you see a different crest. That's the crest of the bishop, indicating the fact when you walk through this way, you come to the bishop's area. This is the citizens' area, which we're in right now. When you look down the river, you see again Little Venice. We talked about that already. To the right there, you see that small little vessel. parked right next to a brick house. That used to be our slaughterhouse. Built half on the river, so all the refuse and garbage could be taken away by the river. As I said before, we didn't have refuse collection up until 1896, so the river was the only refuse collection we've had. All garbage actually went in there if possible. It was never a problem for Bamberg, because it goes further down to Würzburg, it's gone, period. On this side here, on the old town hall, you find paintings for the welcome of the new bishop. That's why in the middle you have the green curtain held up by an angel. Right below down it, there is a crown and a sword showing the full jurisdiction over the state of Bamberg, waiting for the new bishop. And right further down there, there's a small little angel putting his leg out across the boundary there. That small little angel with the leg is an eye catcher, done by the artist who did that. It was John Anwander. Back in 1756. In 1756, they did not have internet, they did not have any way to make his name famous, but he wanted to have follow-up jobs after he was done here in Bamberg, so his name had to become popular. What he did was, he painted a little angel down there, had his legs sticking out, and the angel points with his right hand to a green writing on the wall, which says, "Me, John Anwander, did all of this." But the green writing today is almost washed off, you can't hardly read it. But people walking by here are supposed to take a look at his name, and in order to do that, that's why he had the leg sticking out as an eye catcher. It's a little marketing area that he did for his. The bridge down there, the lower bridge as we call it, has a beer garden on top of it. That's an experiment. For the first time this year we have beer tables and stuff like that, like a beer garden thing on the bridge. And it seems like it's working out. People are adopting it. As we go this way, I need to show you. With me. If you want to stay with me, come to the pedestrian area. I'll show you the best coffee in town. If you want to go to the brewery, this way, go back to the bus, that way. Thank you for being with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.